Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, and you're listening to Incredible Life Creator Podcast. Today, I have two guests that are connected in some way, and you're going to find out all about this on this podcast. So I'm really excited to introduce them. We have Kipling Luke Sanders, and we have John Eagleton on today. So let me just start out by introducing Kip, and then I'll introduce John. So Kipling Luke Sanders is an author and speaker. Kip thinks of himself as a chosen child adopted as a baby. His amazing adoptive parents provided him with a life of education and access. Kip has his master's in aviation science and is a tennis instructor. Despite these exceptional opportunities, Kip experienced a life of challenges brought on by his own self-doubt. It's these hurdles that drove him to find balance and success by turning tragedies into triumphs. He has crafted these life lessons into engaging books for children and adults. Kip continues to inspire with his message of confidence, world peace, and love through a revised perception of oneself. And now John Eagleton is a co-founder and executive director for tennis at SportsEdTV. John has devoted his life to tennis, both as a player and coach. Growing up in South Africa, he identified tennis early on as an avenue to use his athletic talents to see the world and broaden his horizons. After achieving the number 3 world junior ranking, John headed to the University of Miami and became one of the school's best players ever. John beat 7 NCAA champions and competed on the ATP Tour, achieving top 250 rankings in both singles and doubles. Sidelined by injury, he refocused his tennis efforts on coaching. He ran 2 tennis academies. He coached Grand Slam winner and fellow South African Ellis Ferreira, who reached a career high number 2 ranking in doubles and a number 212 singles ranking. Now John spends his time with the talented SportsEdTV coaches and contributors, bringing leading tennis instruction ideas and content to people across the globe. Welcome to the podcast, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. Great to be here.
Thanks. So excited to get into this. So we already know you're both connected by tennis, but there might be other connections. So let's just find out. So I'd like to start out by just giving you each of you a chance to kind of tell me your story, like, you know, who you are. You've already started out. I did do your bio, but just kind of in your own words. So Kip, why don't we start with you? Tell us about you, where you grew up, and how you got into doing what you're doing now.
Okay. Well, my name's Kipling Sanders, and I was actually adopted. I was born in a big city called Seoul, South Korea, and adopted by an Irish Catholic mother and a Sicilian Italian father in Lower Manhattan. And my mother, she had the privilege of founding a nonprofit organization, and she worked for this was called the Lemur Conservation Foundation, which is part of the inspiration for me writing the book, The Wonderful Adventures of Lemur Blue. But my mother, she also was a singer, and she was a actress on Broadway. She was in Jesus Christ Superstar. She played Mary Magdalene. And then she also is like a philanthropist, where she's founded the nonprofit organization. And so basically, I feel like I'm achieving my dream. I feel like I'm achieving and fulfilling my dream finally of becoming a published author as a writer among people in the arts. So after all, I was named after a writer, Rudyard Kipling. And I have 4 other books coming out in the making that I'm working on. The second book is coming out by the spring of 2022. And that's an uplifting, feel good, real good, positive solution for what a lot of things that are going on today. My book is on sale on my website. It's lemurblue.com. The ebook is on sale for $9.99. And then the soft cover is $14.99, and then the hardcover is $19.99. But with that, you basically get QR codes, and you get a whole set of free tennis lesson videos as well that goes along with that. So those are well over a good few $100s or $1,000. But it's a good book. It's a good read. I recommend it. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Well, that is really unique. You buy a book and you get tennis lessons.
Yes.
That is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty nice situation there for a lot of people. They get the opportunity to learn, and they learn from people who have played at a very professional level and some of the best coaches in the world. So it's a really beautiful project that SportsEdTV does as well.
That really is beautiful.
I'm also a speaker in the beginning stages. I've dabbled with Rotary Club and the Kiwanis Club and Toastmasters Club. Toastmaster is more of a public speaking group, and Kiwanis and Rotary are more community oriented, where they do some volunteer work and they help the community become a better place and help out with like minds, people that are driven to help the world become better.
Awesome. And that seems to be a very strong theme in your life, helping people,
Yes.
making the world better.
Yeah, that's key to my life. I really feel that's my purpose here on earth, to tell you the truth, just to help bring light to someone's world, or to bring knowledge, whether it be from my own past experiences or from experiences of someone else that we see on national TV. But whatever the case may be, people need to be helped, and there has to be a solution to a lot of the things they have going on today. And my second book has a lot of those solutions, so I'm excited about it.
That is wonderful.
Which brings me, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Which also brings me here today with John Eagleton, Coach John Eagleton. He's a great man, and now with SportsEdTV, they've helped a lot as well, and they have heart to give back to the society and help out where help isn't, and to help the world become a better place. I keep reiterating that, but to provide educational articles and blogs on awareness and key vital information that people could learn for people. And they also provide professional sports coaching videos as well of multiple sports. So it's really exciting.
That really is exciting. So the first question I had for you when you were talking is, why an author? Why was it your dream to be an author? What could that do for you?
Well, an author would be more or less a stepping stone for me, a building block to build a bridge to get to the other side. It's like, why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side. And my getting to the other side is providing awareness and knowledge to people where there are errors, that they can be corrected and they can be edited. And I've learned some tools myself, where I've learned some concepts or practices or tools in the toolbox, or whatever you want to call it, just like things that I haven't known before. And I just know if the world is aware, that they will benefit.
Beautiful. So it's your way to disseminate your message and to help people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so cool.
Like basic, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, keep going. When you have a thought, just keep going.
Okay. I was adopted. And when it mentioned chosen before, I wasn't chosen in like an ego way, like, oh, I'm better than you, or anything like that. And not in an egotistical way whatsoever, more by way of gratitude and appreciation. My mother, she's Irish, and and my father is Italian. So I really grew up in an Americanized family in the 1980s. And my father owned a few restaurants. So, it was pretty interesting. One of his restaurants was called Kipling's Last Resort. And then there was a fire. They had to change the title, and it was called Chinese Chance. And then he also owned Bebop in the Village as well. So he owned 3 or 4 restaurants. But my mother was more the creative type. Nevertheless, I got exposed to some of the arts and culture and creativity in Manhattan, in New York City. I know Miami, where John is located, and SportsEdTV, they have a lot of art and culture down there as well. Basically, the arts and entertainments. I got to meet Ellen Green, who was Seymour in the Little Shop of Horrors in that movie. And then her boyfriend actually played the man-eating plant that was in that movie, who also played Snuffleupagus in Sesame Street.
Wow.
So it was cool. I got to learn some, get to meet behind the scenes stuff in New York, and a few other people too, but it's not worth going on about. Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. So cool. So let's move over to John. So John, why don't you tell us your story? You have a totally different story where tennis was your life. So why don't you tell us about you, how you started out, how you got to be doing what you're doing now?
Well, as a kid, I was really a multi-sport sort of athlete in the sense that we play a few different sports there. I was the captain of my rugby team. I was the captain of my cricket team. I was the state champion in tennis. And so, I'm 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, trying to find my way. It seemed like sports was my life. Obviously, schooling was pretty tough in those days in South Africa. So I'm from Florida, South Africa. I went to Florida High School in South Africa. That always confuses people because I land up in Florida, Miami, at the University of Miami in Florida. Africa, which is known for its beautiful hills and gardens. But so then I was on the state cricket team and I was selected, and they picked 12 people, and I got there first because it was important to get there first. And that day, my life got changed. I'm in cricket where they only play 11 people, and as I arrived at this big stadium, they said, "Well, somebody's got to sit out," and a guy pointed at me, and somebody said, "Well, he was first year, and he's pretty good. He shouldn't sit out." They said, "Well, somebody has to sit out." So there I find myself in training. I'm playing rugby, I'm in team sports, and I also do at that time a little bit of tennis. And after sitting for 6 hours there, I got up and decided that I'm never going to play another sport where I can control my destiny. It was a strange feeling as I actually left that stadium and then dedicated my life to tennis. I like the idea of tennis because I can control the outcome. I was responsible for what I do. I really had to coach myself. In those days, I had a Rod Laver flip book, and I could flip these pictures, and I would sit there on a chair, and I'd use those pictures to learn the game. And so therefore, my tennis career starts. And I love the fact that we had a circuit there, and I would meet people that were internationally. And by the time I'm 15, I'm literally almost playing on a professional level. And my goal is to get to America. So it was a simple goal. If I have be number one in my country in the juniors, then my best ticket to pick the right school in America. So at the end of the day, I picked the University of Miami. And so I arrived in Miami as a tennis player. The week before that, I won the world singles, doubles, and team tournament in Costa Rica. I was also in the Air Force that year. So a lot of different things happening before I got to America.
Wow. So why America? Why was the goal America when you grew up in South Africa?
Well, America was tennis. There was a magazine called sort of World Tennis. And when I saw the pictures of it, the landscape in tennis was very different in those days. America had 46 of the top players in the world, ranked in the top 100. Today, they have a few because tennis has become much more global, right? Mm-hmm. So the US was a dominant country, winning a lot of Grand Slams. And America was the world of tennis, even though Wimbledon was the tournament and that was the English tradition, and you had the French Open, but America was where the land of opportunity, still the greatest country in the world, still the greatest place to do great things. Just think about the great things that's happening to Kipling here. Mm-hmm. So
thank you.
The land of opportunity. Look at this great conversation we're having here only in this great country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Amen. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Exactly. So tell me about this SportsEdTV that you're doing now.
About 7 years ago, I decided to write a book on the modern day game, and I was traveling around the USA, and I met with a guy that owned a Christian school. It was in Bradenton Inspiration Academy. We had a meeting. They had movie production, and for a year and a half, I sat there scripting videos on how to teach the modern day game, and we filmed in a movie production, but that translated into SportsEdTV. We had and I have some of the best people in the world that has been able to direct me. I'm very fortunate. God sent me the blessing of Robert Mazzucchelli, my partner. Robert built Saatchi & Saatchi. We have Victor, the CEO, who built Dartfish in 138 countries. We have another team player, Victor. So Victor is Dartfish. Then we have Sasha, which is the media company, Executive Digital. So I feel like God provided me and put different people in my life, just like I met Robert at a tennis tournament, just sitting down by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Then one day we had a meeting and we realized that the sports is literally the biggest item in the world, but we must be a multi-sport platform. And we realized there was a big need for sports so that we can even the playing field. It seems like a lot of great people, a lot of great athletes succeed because they have money. You can see that the US wins a lot of Olympics. Yes, they have great athletes, but they have more money than other countries. So for me, SportsEdTV as a platform, even though I make the original videos, it's not about me. It's about getting the best coaches in the world in basketball, soccer, taekwondo, you name it, film them in movie production. And now we have a platform where we are in every country in the world for free, and anybody can watch the best coaches in the world without paying for it. So SportsEdTV, we are in every country in the world, and in 1 second, many times 500 people are watching our videos. So, and we also have a foundation now. I started the Champions for Africa. So for me, I feel like God gave me this chance to impact the world, to make a difference. And for me, it's always about kids. And that's also why I'm so excited, about working with Kipling here. I'm happy to be the coach of the Lemurs to make a world champions, best in the Big Apple, New York City.
Yes, sir.
I met the Sonata. I got a little feel for New York. But more importantly, SportsEdTV is a platform that is going to change is changing the world of education, whether it's with blogs or video production. So I'm very excited and excited about the foundation as well.
Mm-hmm. What do you think it is about sports that unites people? Because right now in the world, different places, there's a lot of division. People are dividing or thinking they're different than other people when we're all the same. We look a little different, but we're all the same. What is it about sports that unites?
Well, I think when you play on a team sport, you unite with your team. But you can see when you look at the Olympics and they're playing in the volleyball, as serious as the competition is, in the end, everybody stop and they shake hands, because you create not only the competition, you create winning and losing, but also you create relationships and you create respect. So, when you are competing against other athletes, if you don't respect them, then it's very difficult, to succeed in life. And even for people that are, like for SportsEdTV, we're about that person on the street that wants to, I want to beat my brother. Like I always wanted to beat my brother. He just is always a little better than me. Awesome. I also want to beat my best friend, so now people all over the world have a free place that they can compete. But sports brings people together. People want to compete, but then they want to get along. And sports has always been the greatest promoter in terms of bringing people together. Look at the Olympics. I mean, that's really undescribable, right? Just the impact of what does a female golfer from India have on India, right? So sports have huge impacts. People need people to look up to. We've been blessed in tennis with great role models, many other sports, Nadal, Federer, different people like that. So sports create role models, and then you also have international where the countries compete. I mean, it's just a joyous thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, I went to the University of Miami. You know, we have bad attitudes at the U, right? I'm sure you've seen the 35th U and the bad attitude, right? But all of those things are great. It's culturally good. It teaches you to compete. It teaches you work ethic, and it teaches you to accept winning or losing. Yeah.
Mhm. Exactly. And then there's that piece just about play. I mean, as serious as sports can be and as competitive and sometimes cutthroat as it can be, when it comes right down to it, there's that piece of sports that is play, that there is that fun piece in it that you don't see in every profession or everything that you do.
Well, it creates lifetime friendships, right?
Mhm.
You know, in Miami, the Florida Gators are not our friends, but now my best friends are from other teams. If anything goes wrong for me, I hear from people all over the world. I hear from my Alabama competition, my Texas. So sports just brings people together, but it's bigger than that. Sports create lifetime relationships and an experience that you can take for you for the rest of the life. And like Kipling was saying, a lot of this book is about finding yourself, you know, being able to be comfortable with yourself and being able to succeed. And sports just brings all of those aspects, you know.
Mhm. So, how did you meet Kipling? How did this connection happen?
I was running an academy in Sarasota, and Kipling was at the same club, and I would see Kipling there. So I feel like Kipling saw me working with a lot of different kids at different ages and different levels, and so I'd also seen him in Bradenton. But I'm going to let Kipling talk a little bit about this because it's about him and it's about the book. And I really believe in this book because it's about kids. We're talking about how sports bring it together, but one of the biggest needs in today's world is good kids' books that are positive, that have values in it that can make a difference. So people, I'm going to let you start there and tell me how, well, you know, that what it, you probably just saw me there feeding balls, right?
Thank you, sir. Yeah, yeah. Basically, to take over that question, how did I know or meet John Eagleton, and what was it about him that inspired me to model a character after him?
Oh, that's the connection. You didn't say that earlier. So you modeled a character after him.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Because I basically am a creative guy, and I wanted to come up with an animal character. And Eagleton is just right on the script. You couldn't pluck a better feather. So it's just prototype, and an all-American bald eagle representing a coach for a book out of what's supposed to be representing a city of Manhattan. Kind of like Batman has Gotham. But basically, I really liked his style of coaching. And then I liked his toughness and I liked his kindness all at the same time. At that point, I realized that because of that, the character coach Eagleton could be created. So ultimately, it was a wonderful start. And basically, Coach Eagleton provided Blue, the main character of the book, the opportunity to learn the basics of tennis and to compete at a higher advanced level, which John Eagleton knows about as well. But also to teach him some very valuable life lessons as well that he could take with him. So it's about on the court and off the court. It's about in the school and outside of the school. It's about being smart and aware. And I think I just wish that the world today can start to have more awareness of how we're interacting with each other. I think I have a challenge where I feel like the people aren't treating each other well. And so what do I want to do? I want to go fix it all. That's just my heart, wanting to help the world. But nevertheless, back to John, a tennis player has to learn discipline. They have to learn responsibility. They have to learn to attain things at a high level necessarily. And they have to be able to learn, just like in life, from our mistakes as well. So it's a really nice relationship, business friendship that I've developed with John. He's a stand-up coach. I like big timers. He's a big time guy. And I couldn't be more proud or more happy to have chosen John to be the coach of this book. And I hope that it helps take him places as well, where he can inspire other people in positive ways throughout the course of his lifetime as well.
For that too, I also want to tell Dr. Kimberley about our first meeting. I mean, it seems like it was 7 or 8 years ago. Kipling walks in there very quietly, asked me if he could speak to me. And we said, talk to me about lemurs, and I'm from South Africa, and I do understand that lemurs mostly live in Madagascar. And he says, I want to write a kid's book, and I want you to star in the kid's book. And we had a few pictures and graphics, but I've also got to congratulate him on his determination. I mean, it took 2 years later, I looked at more graphics, more pictures. I mean, he was determined to get this right. Everybody thinks that every time you just make a few pictures, but he worked so hard and was so dedicated on getting the result. But and it's amazing the work you've done. But
thank you, John.
The result is because the culture behind the whole thing is about promoting, and it turns out that I don't think you could have released this book at a better time, Kipling. And I'm gonna raise my hands up here and say, because the world really needs this book, and kids need something, and they need more books. I hope you do another 20 books. But yeah, it started out with an idea, and I kept in my head, and I'm watching Kipling, and at the end of the day, we're all different, and Kipling is Kipling, right?
Individual, a rare individual.
Individuals, right? And I have a feeling that Dr. Kimberley is also, you got her mindset from looks like all the great stuff she's doing to make a difference.
Well,
yes.
Thank you. So now, John, you have a copy of the book there. Why don't you, on the podcast, people won't be able to see it, but on YouTube they will. So why don't you hold that book up and and just tell us about it. So maybe open the pictures and show us, where are you in the book? We want to see it.
It starts out where, obviously they introduced Kipling, and this is a
QR code.
Barcode to get to a video, right?
Okay. Yeah. That's for the tennis videos. Okay.
Starts out in New York, there with his family, and New York is not the warmest place at times, but he's trying. Kipling found our way and keeps wanting to learn sports, and so at some point in time, I believe, he gets introduced to the big bald eagle.
There you are, the big bald
there he
eagle
is.
And the lemur with the long tail. And look at all those tennis rackets.
Long, lanky tail.
Uh-huh.
So, so I don't mind being the eagle, I guess, because that was good, right?
Yeah.
Solid.
Well, great. That's
well
great. And the pictures are wonderful. You had a wonderful illustrator, and
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I know that'll attract kids because it's very colorful. Oh, and there's all those QR codes in the back, it looks like.
Yeah. With the QR codes, if you just click them with your phone, it'll open up a video on your phone or iPad.
And are they just computer. Individual lessons, like on different things?
Yes. Yeah. It talks about basically forehand, backhand, slice shot. I'm not sure if it has slices in there, but serving, warm up. Has John put warm up in there as well, just to get kids knowing how to practice in the beginning, because not a lot of people know that you start halfway up from the net, from the baseline, actually, to warm up. It's called mini tennis. So he put a lot of great videos in there as well. SportsEd did a class act job of work on their end. And John's got some pictures in there.
But Kipling, one of my favorite things is that he starts playing, but like when you start any sports, he's losing. But some of the people that he's losing to, I find fascinating, because he loses to an octopus who seems to have a lot of rackets. Tell us about you at first in the book, yeah?
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of interesting creative characters that I created in this book. There was a leopard, a Tampa Bay Ray, a stingray that he played, a squirrel, a golden retriever. So he played all kinds of animals, and he actually also played an octopus with 6 tennis rackets. So I mean, how can you beat that?
I don't
How
know.
can you beat that? You know, 6 tennis rackets. I mean, that's like automatic. That's like
Seems
the
kind of
machine
unfair.
gun versus. That's not
Blue had
fair. It's not fair.
No, you think you had problems and I had problems getting there, but Lima Blue had some problems because when I see that octopus with 6 rackets, I'm thinking, well, maybe there's Nadal's and Federer on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. The Leighton Hewitts and the Kei Nishikurys out there just taking over the world. It's like a human wall, a human backboard. Oh my God.
I love those characters, and I like the way also in the book where it comes up and to meet the coach. There's a lot of good life experience. You know, you always think about, well, you know, you work with somebody, but what is their first experience with you, and how does that work, and how does that impact them, right? In this case, he comes to be a world champion. You know?
Yeah.
Trust me,
exactly.
I've run academies in Florida. I've had them coming from every single country. Every meeting about parents arriving in America and they want their kids to be the next Maria Sharapova or Pete Sampras. So it's, but it becomes a story of life and making differences, and it becomes a story of putting them in college. And I've really put dozens and dozens of kids in college, whether it's the team captain at Yale, whether it's matching somebody in a smaller school like Swarthmore, whether it's putting them in LSU, any major school, matching their education and their life skills of schools, and #1 player at Duke, and those guys get hired by Goldman Sachs. But different people move into different phases of life. They become lawyers, some just become tennis coaches. But yeah, so that's why this sport and this whole thing is so big, and this book opens up a lot of avenues. I just never want to play an octopus. That's all I want to say.
Definitely not. Definitely not. So, John, when you are coaching kids, what are the most important basic things, if you have that kid in your hands, what are the most important basic things you want to make sure every kid gets who is under your teaching?
Well, I think the first experience is very important. I think you've got to make sure that you get them obviously comfortable out there, but you got to get them where they're having fun, and you've got to do things that are progressive, and you have a cumulative effect in the sense that, yes, teach them the hard skills, but then also move on to some volley skills that they can feel success right away. Make sure they play some fun games. And one of the keys in coaching is you have to understand, don't have one method of coaching. You've got to work really hard at looking at 10 kids. I think God gave me the skill to look at 10 kids, and I can see their personalities and I can feel their personalities. And I don't mind if they're ADD. I don't mind if they have some problems, because as long as I have the skill to recognize those things, that I can help them and improve them. Don't expect them all to be the same. Be patient with them. And there's one thing you can't fool. If you don't love coaching, and if you don't have the right mindset and loving coaching those kids, they know. And they're going to remember that. So how you present yourself, and how you work with them through the lessons on the court, because a lot of times their mothers didn't train them too well because they're busy today. And so you got to get them organized. You got to teach them how to follow instructions. You got to keep them lined up. And so a lot of times you have 10, 12 kids out there, maybe less now with COVID. So it's it's a process of, you either love this or you're probably not going to succeed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And then Kipling, you're with your books, you said you had a lot of struggles growing up, even though you felt like you had a lot of opportunity, you had a lot of resources, but you still struggled. So when you're in your book, what are the things that you're teaching that you think will help other kids who are struggling with self-esteem or with those type of issues?
One thing I would definitely say is that I had some personal challenges growing up. I'm biracial. I was raised in an American family, and my parents got divorced when I was 9 years old. My mom got remarried at 11 when I was 11. So there was a lot of issues, and I was a lot of searching for acceptance and a lot of confusion. But what I want to tell all those kids out there, or just even adults, anyone who's just got an identity issue or worrying or struggling, is to make sure that you are honest with it, that you're real with it. Maybe just face it, just admit it. Be real to yourself. Be true to thine own self. To thine own self, be true. And it's key to life. And I think when, I was also diagnosed with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, and depression and bipolar. And I've taken medication for those for just about all of my life, on and off. And I'm also been faced with accepting family circumstances that are just a challenge, living life on life's terms, things that are out of my control completely. But another key factor, one of the most important things in my life where I really did something about it, is I used to drink and I stopped. I stopped drinking, and that turned my life around for the better. It ultimately, I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be able to have be in that situation, to where I can share part of my story with someone else who may be struggling out there, or struggling, whatever the variable might be. Mm-hmm. And so basically I began practicing a more spiritual way of life, where I would do some meditation and some quiet time in the morning and quiet time in the afternoon, and before I go to bed as well. So the message would be to really tune into yourself. Tune into yourself. Take the time. You owe it to yourself to be true to thine own self. Be true. And you can help yourself in amazing ways, and you can help other people by being true to yourself and sharing vulnerabilities and just being open-minded and maybe having a different outlook on life than you did before. I just want to see a big change in our country, globally, and I just want to see a big change for the better. And I'll do everything I can to have that happen.
Yes, and I feel that passion. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So just to enlighten people a little bit more, when you're having your quiet times or your meditations, what is your experience? If someone else was going to try that, they've never done that before, what have been your experience, and how has that enhanced your life?
Well, like I said, I'm an empath, so I feel emotions pretty rigorously, or raw, if you will, sometimes. But basically, I just close my eyes, as I'm doing now, and just be quiet, and I listen for maybe a sound, whether it could be a car going outside or a dog barking even. I just concentrate on a few sounds, and I just try and tune out everything. I try to or I'm not sure what the word is I'm looking for. I try to reboot myself emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and in a very healthy and functional way, because that's key. I've had some experiences where I've had almost sort of out-of-body experiences, but just more or less where I would see a dark and light. You can see light and dark contrast, and it almost moves if you really focus on it. It's pretty interesting. Kind of makes shapes and things. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so like the meditation, you can really, what I tell people is when you pray, you're praying to God, maybe asking for things, but when you're meditating, you're listening for those answers from God. from the stars above.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I could really
Yes.
feel that and understand more now, because you hear so many people talk about, well, I meditate. It's like, whoa, what do you mean? So thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
And I wanted to ask John, as we've been talking, you have mentioned God several times about having direction from God. What does your faith have to do with everything? Is your faith really important in your life and in your coaching?
Well, I think that's really everything, right? I mean, I don't start a day with either a church service or reading my Bible. I'm extremely healthy. So I start every day just thanking God for health, and I'm grateful for another day. Because if you don't wake up, and even though I live in Miami, you can enjoy the fresh air and you can enjoy the simple things, then life becomes complicated, So I believe in God. I believe in the fact that I'm going to live forever, but that I have a responsibility here, that I have to live my life in a certain way. I have to live by example, and definitely for the kids, but also with adults. I've got to be different. I have to live in the mindset of making a difference. And one of the things I'm excited about is our foundation, because I'm already helping kids in Africa, making champions. But yes, my faith is everything. God has to be number one. That doesn't mean I don't have a lot of flaws and I don't have things that I have to battle. I battle with myself all the time, And but I use fitness to keep me healthy, and because I feel like as long as I'm moving and running the beach and doing different things, it helps me stay centered. And I do a lot of my meditating when I'm, on the beach working out. And I like to work out when it's 90 degrees, so I'm a little different than most. But that's where I can say thank you, God, for the sun. Thank you for the fresh air. But most importantly, if I walk to the beach, I always try to maybe help a little bit of the homeless, thinking about making a difference. Small differences sometimes make big results.
Yeah.
Well,
It's very
what my life is centered around,
Exactly. Now you mentioned your foundation in Africa, you said. You want to talk about that? Because I don't think we talked much about that yet.
SportsEdTV launched a foundation, and it's obviously a multi-sport foundation, and the idea is that we, on my board is Eagleton, the motto, and Eagleton actually just flew in here tonight, and I'll send them a message, don't knock on the door, because I'm sure they're going to be arriving here from the plane. But Eagleton is also another incredible story, one of the top volleyball coaches in the world. Volleyball now the largest sport. He's from Brazil, grows up there, his mom dies, his sister dies, and literally their family turned around, saved a village. So his story, we have a blog on SportsEdTV. So he's the co-founder of the foundation, and with myself and also Karen Dwyer, as CFO of SportsEdTV. And the goal is eventually to be able to help people globally in every country. We already started in several African countries. And like I said, I've already launched my program, Making Champions in Africa. So I'm very excited about the foundation, because again, that's a tool to help kids. That's a tool to get education to people that don't have the money. And, I'm not 19 years old, so I'm hoping that that'll be one of the things, maybe if I leave a legacy, that I made a difference on a global level, but that's really for God to decide, I'm happy doing basic things in Miami,
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'd like to ask you a personal question. What gives you the most happiness and fulfillment in your life?
I think helping people. And I think God gave me a skill, whether it's Kipling, able to analyze Kipling, and I can see where he's coming from and feel him. So I can feel Kipling, and then being able to work with him. whether it's a kid on the tennis court, whether it's a really good player on the tennis court, whether I'm literally walking to the beach, I talk to a lot of people because I can feel the people. And if you can speak to the people, then you have a chance, you know, to help them. But for me, if I can help people and make it, I put obviously on the tennis side, it was about taking kids and putting them into college, matching their educational skills with the school, their tennis skills, give them the ticket to get there and creating life skills for them. But that's on a bigger scale when you put, you know, dozens and dozens of kids into major school. But on a day-to-day basis is I'm willing to help anybody. You know, SportsEdTV is free anytime, anywhere, in any country in the world, and I'm willing to help anybody anywhere where I can, and it's within, you know, my ability.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And Kipling, I wanted to ask you that same question. What gives you the most happiness and fulfillment in your life at this point?
Well, it's really, it's taken myself out of the equation and just having higher powers or God work through me to help other people. It's the same answer as John. It's helping others. And whether it's getting a message out or through a children's book and someone feeling really great and amazing and wanting to go out and conquer their goal after they read the book, or whether it's, you know, someone getting a baseball scholarship to a Division I college. It's just a matter of being of service and trying to help people. And I'm really more committed in my life now than I ever have been to how much I do want to help people. And I know I could do it through a one-on-one basis. And that's how I do it now, one-on-one with each individual I meet. But I also started public speaking as well. I never really did the public speaking officially. I did a session with the Boys and Girls Club. Nevertheless, as a speaker, I'm pretty much in the beginning stages, but I wanted to help people on a large scale and just get rid of, if I just could get rid of all negativity and replace it with positivity, that's what I would do. I almost wore a yin and yang tie today for the occasion.
Really nice, really nice.
Yeah.
So thank you. And public speaking is a great way to get your message out. And, you know, it's great to go and get training. And I've had lots of training in public speaking. But when it comes right down to it, if you have a guy or a woman standing on a stage and they got a mission and they just open up their heart and let the words come from their heart out their mouth, everybody's going to listen. I don't care if you're an orator or not. If you have that passion and those people know that you're there to give them something to enhance their lives, they don't care how you say it. They don't care if you have a strong accent and they can hardly understand you. They don't care because they feel the love, they feel the care. And, you know, I just was very excited for you to go out and start speaking your message.
Yeah, that's a wonderful message for you to share with me. And it's encouraging and really inspires me. So thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome. So at this point, I want to kind of summarize.
Did John want to say something?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's very important. You know, I feel like God provided a miracle with SportsEdTV, because when I wrote my book, just like Kipling starting out, and you never know what's going to happen, and I'm shooting videos, but to wake up and have the world's largest free education and maybe be one of the best platforms for even athletes and coaches to come on is a massive opportunity. So I have to be humble and grateful, and I've got to use this platform because some days I reach 1 million people a day just on tennis, and we are a multi-sport platform. Is an opportunity to make a huge difference. SportsEdTV with sports and being in every country, anywhere, is totally, literally a miracle. That just an idea. And I'm hoping that Kipling, your book and what you do turn into a massive global thing, because I feel like you have a lot to offer and a lot to say. And what you're saying today It's never more important than today. You know?
Thank you. Thank you, John. That means a lot to me. And it's really special coming from you and hearing it from your perspective and angle. We all have a responsibility in this world. And I feel like people are just guided to their pathway. Like a lot of what Coach Eagleton was saying about just being directed by God or listening to God or letting God direct them. I believe under, more ancient civilizations, since ancient civilizations, there's been many religions, and they've all had stories of just ancestors and their forefathers, seeing a starship coming down from the sky, or whether it was Moses, even in the burning bush story. There was a story of people getting information from higher levels of intelligence or sophistication. And so I'm not surprised by that. And I just think that's been around for a long time. And I feel like I'm being guided. I feel like people are being guided literally in multiple ways.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So if people wanted to get your book or connect with you or have you as a speaker, what are all the ways they can connect with you or where they can find your books?
Okay. They can find my books on my lemurblue.com website. lemurblue.com is the website. And for sale, $9.99 gets an ebook for $9.99. And then you get a paperback for $14.99. And then you get a hardcover for $19.99. And remember, there's always the QR codes in there and free tennis lessons with the book inside, which is a high value, I'm telling you. And ultimately, you basically, most importantly, you get to improve your game. You get to improve your game. And that's key to life. And that's coming from a tennis coach like John.
All right. Well, thank you. And
Yeah.
John, where do we find SportsEdTV?
SportsEdTV.com. SportsEdTV is everywhere. So you can just find us by putting in SportsEdTV.com to go to the main site. Or every sport, SportsEdTV basketball has a Facebook. They all have Instagrams. They have, we're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. We have content or media specialists in every sport that are running campaigns on all of the different, social media outlets. So you can find us in a lot of places. But most importantly, it's easy to find us, and we're hoping to become the trusted brand by providing in every sport. In basketball, we have Mark Strickland, who played for the Miami Heat. We also have Tim Hardaway, who's done a great job for 5-time All-Star. In weightlifting, we have the Olympic weightlifting coach. In Taekwondo, we have world champions, European champions. So our goal is to find the best coaches and be the platform for them so that they can maximize their exposure globally. But more importantly, that provides free education anywhere, anytime in the world, and we're in every country, And so I've got to say, be grateful for that because trust me, I'm really not a media guy. God surrounded me by some really miracle people.
Yeah, and that is wonderful. And that's the important thing to remember, that we really can't do anything by ourselves. We can try, but if we ever want to do something really big, really momentous, something that's going to change the world, we need a lot of people. We need a lot of connections and people who have the same goals.
Yes, indeed. And I just wanted to mention as well, I know John doesn't know my tennis playing background as much, but I did attend my education. I attended Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, which is like a small Division II college. But they had an NAIA team in the top 25, and I played number 7 on their tennis team.
Wow.
So I was probably like the summit of my tennis career, and but it was fun. And then
I saw you hit the ball. You can play tennis. I don't think.
Yeah. I also was ranked 35 in Florida in the open level when I used to compete in my 20s. So that was a while ago.
Yeah, really exciting. So I have one last question for both of you. Do you have something else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I forgot to mention where else they can find my book. They can also, anyone can also go to Amazon, just Amazon, and pop in The Wonderful Adventures of Lemur Blue. The Wonderful Adventures of Lemur Blue, or my name, Kipling Sanders, and pop in the author and they'll pop up and you're free to buy it. I hope you do.
Yeah, I hope you all go and buy it. I'll
You'll be
one.
rewarded. You will be kindly rewarded.
Great book.
Peace.
Amazing.
Yeah. What was your last question for us?
So here's the last question for each of you. What is your best advice on living an incredible, amazing life?
After you, John. I don't know.
I think, you know, when you believe in God, you have a purpose, but you also have responsibility. I think that it's the you factor, right? And everybody says, well, I went to the you. The you factor is, how do you wake up every day? You wake up feeling good? Do you perform at your best? I mean, do you start the day out by feeling ready to go? There's so many different things that doesn't matter. That's very, very important. But I think you got to work on what you eat. I think you got to create a fitness workout, and you have to create balance. You know, eat the right food. I mean, you can't eat perfect food all the time. Make sure you work out. Make sure you get exercise. Make sure you do things that help you center your life. But I think it's important how you start the day out. You've got to start. For me, if I don't start in God's word, everything starts going wrong, because I'm really not that perfect a guy, you know. That's my flaw. So yeah, I think you got to have balance and be good at all of those things, the fitness, the nutrition, and do everything to help yourself and help other people.
Great. Well, thank you so much, John. And what about you, Kipling?
Basically, important things are, I would put it into the phrase or the package of a tennis player. So again, as I said earlier, the tennis player has to learn discipline and responsibility, and they have to attain a high level of mental concentration and mental focus. They have to be prepared to lose. If they lose, you have to learn from your mistake. That's part of life. As in life, we must work through mental situations and be able to compete still, just like a player does on the tennis court. And through failure, one of my key messages would be through failure, we can learn to succeed. And by example, if someone learns a new sport, unless they're just like awesome, and there's people who are gifted athletes and they get to the top really fast and they never lose. But for the average person, they don't get to the top, they lose a few times before getting to the top or reaching that pinnacle or the summit of their game. So all the time, unless they're gifted, people have to attain a level to master the game. And it takes some time to develop. It takes muscle memory. It takes mental toughness to elevate the game or life, whatever it may be, on a high level. And as a coach, he always, or she always, has a responsibility to effectively communicate any message they want to the player and to give them even a key motivational pep talk when they need it. And so that's just my 2 cents on the matter.
All right. Well, I love your 2 cents. Thank you so much,
Thank
Kipling.
you.
You're so much,
You're
John.
welcome. Thank you so
and
much.
I hope to talk to
Can I
you.
hold my book up? Can I hold my book up?
Yes, please.
All right. Buy this at Amazon.com or lemurblue.com. The Wonderful Adventures of Lemur Blue. Thank you so much, Dr. Kimberley Linert, for allowing us to come on your show. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. Thanks, Kipling. Thank you, John.
Thank you so much.
I'll talk to
Peace
you.
be with you.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.